One of the most effective, simple, quick, and intuitive ways to tweak any neural Quad Cortex preset to make it sound exactly as we would want it, whether we're in the studio with more time to actually tweak or live where we maybe have to make tweaks really quickly on the fly, is utilizing the Parametric 3 EQ block. Now, more specifically, I don't actually want to use this as a parametric EQ, but we're going to use it more just for the low and high shelf EQ, which is really, as I said, one of the most powerful tools we can have, and I include it in pretty much every one of my presets, whether I'm utilizing the internal amp models included with Quad Cortex or even with neural amp captures. I like to have it there because it makes it so simple to tweak something on the fly. Let me explain. So here I have a preset that is available on Cortex Cloud. Go there and give me a follow under jsadites. I also have a link below where I'm going to have all my neural captures and Quad Cortex presets available at my website. You can go check those out at that link. But here I'm utilizing the Brit UBL lead, which is a model of the incredible Marshall Silver Jubilee amp. Now, you'll notice that I have just an amp and a cab. I have a little bit of room reverb. I have a low and a high cut on that I have in a lot of presets. And I have my little opto comp that I have at the end, just barely working at all. And I do have this Parametric 3 EQ block here, but it's bypassed right now. So what you're hearing here with the selections that I made with this amp is that tone there, and I really like what it's doing. Now, let's go look and see what I do with the Parametric EQ block. If I turn this on, you'll notice that the second band of this EQ is basically disabled. We're not using it. It's set to peak, but I just have the gain at 0. It's not being utilized. But for the 1 and 3 bands, you'll see 3 set to high shelf, and 2 set to low shelf. We can set those to different types of EQ. A shelf EQ is basically going to take all the frequencies below or above a certain set frequency point and boost or cut all of them. And it looks just like this, like a shelf, basically. So you'll see that on both of these, I have the frequency of 650 hertz selected, and I have a Q of around 0.7 on both of those. Now, you might ask why the frequency of 650 hertz. Well, when we cut all the frequencies or boost all the frequencies below that, I find that what it can do is either fill out the sound or help to get rid of some mud and clean up the low end in a very subtle manner. And all the frequencies above that, when boosted or cut, can either add some sparkle mixed in with a nice fullness in some of the mid-range frequencies. And if a preset is too harsh, it can help to tame those. A setting that I oftentimes start with is, like I said, both frequencies for the low and high shelf set at 650 hertz. Oftentimes with the frequencies below, cut by 1 dB, and the frequencies above, boosted by 1 dB. It's really going to be preset dependent. We can't just have a common setting that's going to work for everything, but I find that that's a nice starting point usually. So in this particular preset, what I've done, just for the sake of being able to hear the difference in a much clearer fashion, I've cut all the frequencies below 650 hertz by 2 dB, and all the frequencies above 650, I've boosted by 2 dB. So we're going to add a little sparkle to this. We're going to clean up a little bit of mud, and we're going to clean up the low end a little bit. So all the frequencies below 650, by cutting them 2 dB, those kind of muddy frequencies, maybe in the 400 hertz range, are going to get cleaned up, and we're also going to take out some of that low end, and we're going to add a little bit of shimmer while adding just a little bit of maybe almost smoothness in those lower mid-range frequencies, or mid-range frequencies in around 900 hertz or so. So if I bypass this, we've already heard this tone. We want to hear how much of a difference it makes when I engage this. So here's the tone without those low and high shelf EQs. Really nothing wrong with it, but in a mix, maybe I want that to cut a little bit more, and maybe I want it to have a little bit more controlled low end, a little bit more clarity. By engaging this, disengage. Now in this particular preset, I don't know if I would go to the extremes of 2 dB cuts. I might decide to just take those down each to 1 dB. Maybe let's go 1 dB on the low shelf, and I'll boost 1.5 dB on the high shelf. And it kind of just gives us that little bit of extra polish we might need to just make it sit beautifully. Now, you might say, well, I don't like it in this situation. You don't have to use it in every situation, but the fact that we have it there allows us a very powerful tool that if we are in a situation where we have to make a very quick, intuitive tweak to our tone, we can do it with very little thought. If I wanted more cut, and obviously I'm just going to make silly changes here, I could boost that up and really add a lot of sizzle to the tone, or I could even come and cut those to maybe smooth it out. So you see how we can really quickly and intuitively tweak our tone. We can go down to our low shelf as well, and same sort of thing. Very intuitively make tweaks that will work quite nicely. Now, you might ask if I would even use something like this if I was utilizing neural captures. Well, here I have one of my latest releases, which is my Archie BB Ultimate collection, available at the link below. This is a set of neural captures based off of my really beautiful PRS Archon 50. Now, you'll notice here that I have push to, it's a nice overdriven tone, but I still have this little parametric block in here with the low and high shelf set just basically like I showed you, with a little bit of a boost, 1 dB in all the frequencies above 650 hertz, and a nice little cut on all the frequencies below, and we end up with this type of a thing. If I bypass it, here's how the captures were captured just as is. If I bring that in, very, very subtle stuff, but it's there if I need it to tweak it. And you'll have to listen on a good set of headphones or speakers to really hear the differences. But I find that it just gives that little bit of extra polish to the tone. So I hope you enjoyed that look at what I feel is one of the most important blocks we can have in presets, whether with the built-in amp modeling or if we're utilizing neural captures. I hope that that's helpful for you. Please like the video, share it with anybody you think would get some use or enjoyment out of watching it. Also, please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content. Now, I'm going to leave you with a little snippet of the full demo video of my latest Archie BB Ultimate release, which is available at the link below at my website. Hope you enjoy that. Give me a follow over on Cortex Cloud at jsadites.